dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately?
Over the last few seasons, we've seen the emergence of the transverse gearbox in Indy car racing. Well, what do we mean by transverse? If we take a look at a gear stack, it used to hang off the back of the car in a longitudinal manner. Now, it's called a transverse gearbox because it's mounted transversely. But most importantly, it's placed ahead of the rear axles. That really helps move the weight on the car forward, helps specifically in slow speed corners. That's called a dynamic advantage. Now, what we also have is an aerodynamic advantage. It's much smaller back here. The all-important air that comes underneath the car, out of those tunnels, really helps in this area for increased downforce. In the old days, it took maybe 30 minutes to change gears. With this system, it takes 2 or 3 hours. You do lose some time in the pits, but out on the racetrack, it's a big advantage.
We're back at the Miller Genuine Draft 200 where Al Unser Jr. is the leader of the race. His teammate Emerson Fittipaldi runs in second. Their teammate Paul Tracy is in third. And then Nigel Mansell, followed by Michael Andretti and Robbie Gordon. Those are the top 6 here. Al Unser Jr. is making child's play of the rest of the field. He is running a second ahead of his teammate Emerson Fittipaldi and a full lap ahead of everybody else in the field. And matter of fact, 2 laps ahead of most of the others in the field.
Emma's been able to stay within about 1 to 3 seconds of little Al all the time, Paul. And I think what this is doing is working itself up to be one heck of a good charge toward the latter part of the race. I think probably what happened is Emma's really trying to save his tires, and you can bet the little Al knows it for the run right to the finish.
Of course, Bobby, the consequence of little Al staying ahead of Emerson in terms of the championship is that he will extend his 20-point lead even further and become even more of a favorite to win the championship.
All right, let's go back in the field now. Take a look at some of those others battling. Here is Buddy Lazier. Very likable young man, great skier. He runs right now in 19th, but he has been keeping his nose clean through most of the races this year and is beginning to carve out a name for himself in IndyCar racing, just like his dad.
You know, Paul, he missed the show at Indianapolis, but he got into a good car, the Himmelgarn car, late in the month. And if he'd have had, I know the boy, I know the team, if he'd have had one more day, there's no doubt in my mind, they blew an engine, just he got in it. He'd had one more day, he would have made the race, and that's so important to his career.
We've just gone past the 3/4 point in the race. We're at lap 154, and still, every car that started is still running. Let's look up in the field now. Running in 15th position, there he is, the Pennzoil car of Teo Fabi.
Teo, of course, started 10th, and it looked as if they might have finally found the handle there. Remember that this is the Jim Hall-owned car. Jim Hall, whose teams have won at Indianapolis, who dominated the Can-Am Sports Car Series years ago with the famous Chaparrals. Teo Fabi, who took this series by storm, winning 5 races back in 1983. Somehow this mixture has not come together in a potent way this year yet. It may still.
And that's one of the Reynard cars, Tim.
So Teo Fabi, in 1983, was a rookie pole sitter, and he's a proven IndyCar winner.
We have 3 types of cars here. We have the Lola, of course, which has been the popular type. We have the new one that's a Reynard, and of course the cars that are leading the race, the Penske cars.
They have chemistry in that team that just for some reason does not add up to the ingredients of the people in the team. I mean, they should be a front runner, and they're not, and no one understands why, and I think everybody, even some of their competitors, feel badly about it.
No battles anywhere in the field right now as Nigel Mansell from 4th place comes in for his stop, Gary.
Boy, Paul, what a difference a year makes. Remember, a year ago, it was Nigel who won this race in the dramatic restart over Raul Boesel. Today, he started 9th, but this team right now, frankly, says, we're running for first in class. That's how dramatically the Penske team has them covered. This was a great stop, 12.5 seconds.
And, Gary, the yellow comes out as Mansell comes into the pits for that piece of debris out on the race cars. Our first yellow of the day, so last year's run at Nazareth still remains our last yellow-free race. And the kart safety team, IndyCar's right there.
Many years ago, Paul, I watched Milwaukee run from start to finish, and Mike Mosley won it. Never a yellow flag. And I'm starting to think with that little piece of debris on the track, we might have had another one just like it.
1982 that was. So on the 157th race lap, The leader, Al Unser Jr., slows down, and that's going to give a lot of cars an opportunity to stop. Here is Robbie Gordon in for his stop.
What, did you see all the smoke coming off his brakes as they came in on the Cummins car? He really had them smoking and hot there, the Valvoline Cummins car.
Let's go to Jack Arute.
And guys, we were trying to tell you that what happened is he started to come out of the pits. He stalled the engine. They managed to carry the forward momentum, and they were able to get it refired. Also, they are continuing to chase the handling. They were going down on the front wing.
So now the rest of the field under this yellow, which shouldn't take that long, as Johnny Rutherford driving the PPG pace car. We watch Michael Andretti making his stop. Again, routine, and they have time here. And this comes just ideally for most of the cars in the field.
And you can see he's got sticker tires on it. Watch that white just flashing around the right front there. Brand new tires.
The blend line here is just beyond the exit of the pits. Here is Bobby Rahal coming out.
Remember, passing is allowed in the pits.
But the speed limit in the pits, again, is only 80 miles an hour. That's from the entrance of the pits till the exit, and then they can go as fast as they want.
Raul Boisel, Mario Andretti, both head back to join the pack that is beginning to form now behind Johnny Rutherford. Al Unser Jr., the first in that line. And Emerson Fittipaldi will be able to close in right behind his teammate. Jack Arute?
Well, remember when we ran the last time on a mile at Phoenix International Raceway and we had those terrible problems during caution? First the Villeneuve and the accident with Jacques Villeneuve when I thought he was going to cut a car in half, and then of course Michael Andretti. Here's what Team Penske has devised. They have a small light on the dashboard of their cars now that when the caution comes out, they can turn the light on from the pits. They can send a signal to their drivers to back out of the throttle. Today, this was the first time they've had to use it. It worked quite well.
You know, that's such a good idea. I'm surprised they just don't write that into the rules, and maybe Nigel Bennett, the chief engineer and designer for that team, will in fact try to work that into the rules for next year.
Now remember, Little Al right there and Emerson right behind him have no cars in between them. We're going to go back to green pretty quick here. Now, their tires will have been cooled off a little bit because of the yellow flag. They're really going to see now who, between the two, has the fastest car.
Ready to go back to green flag racing on the 161st lap.
Oh, Little Al making Emerson slow down. You see Emerson tried to get a run on him, and Little Al slowed up. A lot of tactics being played out. Look at how slowly they're going right now.
Little Al wants to be able to pace back to the green at his own speed. By the way, now we do have a potential of rain just to the west of us here. The question is, will it pass over the track or will it miss us? We'll keep an eye out. 39 laps to go as we're ready to go back to green flag racing. And here we go. The green flag comes out again. If Fittipaldi has a chance, this is it.
And remember, he can shoot off a Little Al right there. He sees where Little Al is. He gets his braking by what Little Al is doing in his braking.
Is Fittipaldi, Bobby, in a position of advantage right now because he's chasing?
Very definitely, because number one, Little Al's tires, all of them, build up a little bit. But for example, Little Al goes down, makes a slight mistake. Emil has that distance right there, as you see, to cure his, so he doesn't make the same one.
That's racecraft, though, what Little Al did there on that start. He knew he wanted to control the restart, not have Emo catch him.
Remember Emerson just 1 week ago in battle with Al Unser Jr., then leading the race. Slight mistake, Fittipaldi into the wall. Remember these two at Indianapolis when they battled.
Well, remember that they battled there, and they're battling again here. They may both run for the Penske team, but this is a pure race between them. We should understand that there are no team orders that determine who's going to win this race.
Absolutely, Sam. Penske does not do that. We know at times that he tries to do it for a championship at the end. This is not championship time. This is race time.
Well, this is an amazing fact. Both these men have won 21 IndyCar races. So this is the rubber match between them, folks. They've each won 21.
They're going to display the black flag for Jacques Villeneuve. He passed Jimmy Vasser on that restart, and so they'll bring him in for a stop-and-go penalty. He was running in 8th place.
Really hurts on a track like this because he can't do the stop and go without losing a lap.
We watch the lead of the race. Let's go back. This is Robbie Gordon. He runs in 5th place. Nigel Mansell is just ahead.
He's back up running the high groove again. Boy,
yeah.
look at Michael comes underneath there. That's really close.
Let's go pit side and Jack.
Well, Paul, Derek Walker's radioed to Robbie Gordon that the closing weather may shorten this race, and he knows that he has a shot at Nigel Mansell for position. He told his young charge, go for it now, don't hold anything back.
Well, you saw Michael come right around and move into 5th place around Robbie Gordon. Villeneuve has made his stop-and-go penalty now.
Often the mechanics or the team leaders tell the guys what to do, but sometimes they just can't do it. Sometimes they're already going as fast as they can.
I still find this astounding. 168 laps complete, and every car that started is still running. Boy, there's a tribute to the crews, the engineers, the mechanics that labor long hours over these cars. And remember, they just came off of the grueling month of May at Indianapolis. Boy, they're well prepared.
Well, it shows you that the whole series is just doing well on the engines and the transmission. To think that they haven't had an engine or a transmission problem today, it's really something.
And yellow for debris only. Obviously not a critical part off the race car because everybody's still going. Michael Andretti knows that Mansell's up there, and he has a chance. There's the look back from Mansell.
You can see when you're on board with Michael, it takes something to hold the helmets up. Between a helmet and a driver's head, a lot of G's of force really makes their neck tired if they don't have something to hold it up.
170 laps now complete in the Miller Genuine Draft 200. Al Unser Jr., we've got a car in trouble. Yellow will come out.
Stefan
Johansson.
Wow. The string finally broke.
Second yellow of the day. Obviously, Stefan is all right. He was running 13th at the time of the incident. So Stefan Johansson walks away from the first real incident of the day in the Miller Genuine Draft 200 on the Milwaukee Mile. We'll be back with more after this message and a word from our ABC station.
We talked about the great history here at Milwaukee. Well, of course, that great history has resulted in a very abrasive, a very bumpy track surface that they've worked on throughout the years, and that was a concern for Goodyear. They came here with a brand new race tire, a slight construction change over what they've used in the past at Milwaukee because the surface is so abrasive. That tire has held up beautifully from what we've seen after the first two and the only scheduled pit stops of the day. Part of the problem is that there are places on the front straightaway where it's been grooved, and then there are places where they tried to grind it down to make it smoother, and so you get contrasting spots where you can put a rear tire in a groove section and a rear tire on the opposite side can be on a smooth section. That creates tremendous stress not only on the tire but the back part of the car. And thus far, from all reports we've had, and the fact that only one driver has fallen out of this race, everybody's doing a remarkable job.
A truly incredible job. That one driver, of course, Stefan Johansson, the reason for this yellow as the IndyCar safety teams get the track clean and ready to go. 175 laps are complete.
And Paul, while Gary was talking about the tires and the being hard on the rear ends, so everybody knows here at Milwaukee they run what they call a solid axle across the back, the same as they would for Milwaukee, not like a road course where they would be running limited slips.
All right, let's take a look now how they line up behind Johnny Rutherford in the PPG pace car. There's Fittipaldi and Al Unser Jr. with Al Unser Jr. in front. We're looking really for Michael Andretti, Nigel Mansell, that group. There's Michael. Robbie Gordon should be in here right behind. That will be a battle when we come back to green. Bobby Rahal will be just behind that battle, as will Raul Boisel. And there is Mansell.
The entire field looking for the one car that's fallen out. Just imagine that with only about 24 laps to go.
Rahal, we're on board with him now, is running 7th. He's having another great performance at the driving.
They're having trouble getting the car of Stefan Johansson off of the course because it was locked in gear, and so now they're going to have to pick it up with the full boom wrecker and get it off. There's a race summary after 173 laps. Let's go pit side. Jack Arute is with Richard Buck, Little Al's crew chief.
And Richard, so far things seem to be going your way. Why have you elected to go with sticker tires on every stop?